What is this? Just someone saying I stand with. Oh, someone stands with Russia. Oh no. Let's see.
I stand with Russia. Am I allowed to say that out here, or is somebody going to cancel me if I express some political view that is contrary to the public narrative? You know, war is propaganda. Propaganda is the most important weapon out there, so it depends which side have you been brainwashed to believe, or are we all going to just simply assume that Russia's the bad guy, right? That's the popular narrative around here. And so this is what doesn't quite sit well with me, which is that most people out here have absolutely no clue what Russia and Ukraine are even fighting about, right? You've got Ukraine crying, and have you ever been in an argument with somebody who's crying? You can't win because people are just saying, oh, look, that person's crying. Why are you
Okay.
so mean? Why do you have to be a bully? That person's crying. As if simply by having somebody crying for help, that they're automatically the victim. Now, maybe, yes, Ukraine may be the victim, but let's take a look at what happened. I put out
Okay. Oh yeah. No, but yeah, they can. But oh, his Twitter's underperforming. Look, only 3 notifications. Holy shit.
this tweet here where I said Ukraine may deserve to fail because they banned men ages 18 to 60 from leaving the country for suspending their bank withdrawals to try to protect their own currency from a bank run and from collapsing. And I believe that in many ways the blood is now on the hands of the Ukrainian government because people want to leave. They're trying to get out of the entire region, and Ukraine is saying, you sit here and you fight for me. You try to save me. They're trying to get out, escape, and just seek a better future for themselves, a better life, and yet their own government is trapping them. They're escaping from their own government as much as from the Russian government. And you know, Abraham Lincoln here said that those who deny freedom for others deserve it not for themselves. Quick pause. This video is brought to you by myself, DeFiPro.dev. This is a new
Shut the fuck
DeFi.
up.
Some are pro-Russia, some are
Okay.
what percentage of Ukrainians actually want to join Russia? Well,
Okay.
most don't
Quora.
really seem to
He's
care,
asking-
right? Some are
okay.
pro-Russia, some are pro-Western. Most people just want a better life, and they're not necessarily going to let their own political beliefs get in the way of a better life for them. They're just Western. Most people just want a
This is not true.
better life, and they're not necessarily going to let their own political beliefs get in the way of a better life for them. They just want a nice life. And so if a company in Russia were to offer them maybe double the income, double the salary, well, then they would migrate over to Russia. And if their life is better in Ukraine, maybe they'll stay there. And then there's some hardcore nationalists on either side who are going to just stay in the country and fight to their death for it. But most people aren't necessarily going to be like that. And so when you're out there virtue signaling, saying that I'm wrong, that I'm a terrible person, and that Ukrainian people must fight for their independence, and yet you're sitting there. You yourself, you're not willing to fight physically. You'd rather live a better life, right? That's worth more than independence of Ukraine
Wait,
for
what the fuck is this guy saying? Like, that would be an argument for Russia not to roll in then, right? Because they just want a better life. Wait, what's he saying? Is he just... Is this like I've watched a few pro-Russia arguments. They're all like this.
you. So if you really care, why don't you put on some boots and go over to Ukraine, pick up a gun, and fight for Ukrainian governments? Let's take a look here. Twitter says it will consider censoring emerging narratives about the Ukrainian war. So cancel culture is now coming into play where we're going to try to shape the narratives here. Propaganda at play. Instagram as well. Facebook has also joined in. YouTube will also probably start playing a role here where we're going to just start censoring information about this war so that we can shape the narratives around here.
What's he looking at
Probably
here?
start playing a role here where we're going to
Tyler Durden. Oh, wait, what? Okay, I got lost.
it will consider censoring emerging narratives worth more than independence of Ukraine for you. So if you really care, why don't you put on some boots and go over to Ukraine, pick up a gun, and fight for Ukrainian governments? Let's take a look here. Twitter says it will consider censoring emerging narratives about the Ukrainian war. So,
oh, it's by Paul Joseph Watson. Wait. Does Paul Joseph Watson call himself Tyler Durden on his blog website? Oh my god. What source, dude? What? Oh my god. Let's see. I need to find a good... Tyler Durden. Do not fuck with us. His name was Robert Paul Joseph Watson.
so cancel culture is now coming into play where we're going to try to shape the narratives here, propaganda at play. Instagram as well, Facebook has also joined in, YouTube will also probably start playing a role here where we're going to just start censoring information about this war so that we can shape the narratives around here. Facebook has already started restricting the official accounts of 4 Russian media outlets. Meanwhile, over on Instagram, there's a lot of influencers, such as myself, who are capitalizing on the war. You've got people posting fake images, imagery from video games, even pretending that these scenes are from Ukraine in order to
Wait, what's the? I need to catch up with this
such
guy.
has already started restricting the official accounts of 4 Russian media outlets. Meanwhile, over on Instagram, there's a lot of influencers, such as myself, who are capitalizing on the war. You've got people posting fake images, imagery from video games, even pretending that these scenes are from Ukraine in order to capture eyeballs and gain more followers on Instagram.
Okay, but that's not really like people posting bullshit on Instagram is not like propaganda campaigns, right? Such as myself, yeah.
One Instagrammer says, "What I'm trying to do is get as many followers as possible by using my platform and skills. The accounts are what are becoming
Wait,
known
why would this make you pro-Russia? Like, both sides can do this.
as war pages on Instagram with shocking battleground footage and videos depicting violence with no context at all, and then trying to monetize the followers by posting advertisements, sometimes for OnlyFans creators." And the same with YouTube as well. Officials in the US, UK, and Europe are now discussing restrictions to target groups and people with huge audiences on platforms like YouTube. So what can we believe out here? And undoubtedly, there's going to be a narrative, a bias against Russia.
Have I seen what the Kavernical said about the war? Oh, he had a go at me though. I don't know what he said about the war, but
Because, hey, historically, we fought against Russia in the World War II. That was the West versus Russia, the Cold War. But
wait, in World War II or the Cold War? Wait. We didn't fight against Russia in World War II. No.
against Russia because, hey, historically, we fought against Russia in the World War II. That was the West versus Russia, the Cold War. But
This guy is fucking insane. How? How? Remember in World War II when we fought against Russia during the Cold War? In the yeah, remember in the World War II when we fought against Russia in the cold English Civil War during the Spanish Armada, back back in the Norman conquest of Ukraine. Good.
did you know that Ukraine also supported Hitler? Like, there's this thread of neo-Nazism within Ukraine. And
Wait,
so
Ukraine was fucking like parts of Ukraine were fucking like oh god. The Nazis occupied Ukraine. Like, one of the biggest concentrations of Jewish deaths was in Nazi-occupied Ukraine. Between 900,000 and 1.6 million Ukrainian Jews and 3 to 4 million non-Jewish Ukrainians killed during the occupation. Okay.
So
So wait, what was just to make sure?
like, there's this thread of Did you know that Ukraine also supported Hitler? Like, there's this thread of neo-Nazism within
That is fucking out of his mind. Oh my god. All right.
Ukraine. And so Putin's claim is that he's trying to denazify Ukraine. Now, whether this is true or not is something people are still debating. It may be political propaganda as well here, but what are people really trying
Yeah.
to fight for here? Now, it's very difficult to understand this, especially as an American myself. I don't even know where these countries are, but my understanding is that
the fact that if you don't know, why are you standing with Russia? Holy shit. I couldn't even tell you where these countries are. I'm an American.
Putin had always viewed Russia and Ukraine as a single country. He would like to unify these countries into a single whole because fundamentally he believes Ukraine to be an illegitimate government originally belonging as a part of Russia back in the 1900s. Not to mention, he doesn't want NATO coming into the mix. Like, Ukraine was trying to join NATO, and the idea is that if you attack a single NATO country, then you attack all of them. And
Yeah.
Russia kept saying, just
Okay,
be
whoa.
a neutral country, stop trying to join NATO. And Ukraine kept trying to join them, so Russia said, look, they didn't want an enemy on its doorsteps. And so Putin's fear is, let's imagine Ukraine is a NATO member and starts these military operations. In Putin's eyes, the West promised back in 1990 that NATO would not expand an inch to the east, but they did so anyways. And as I understand, Putin has
Wait, what? Sorry, someone Chat's being weird. All right.
been maybe ideological in his
Just wait and
approach, in
see.
which it seems like he's trying to protect Russian culture, peoples, and values, even those people within Ukraine. And so parts
Yeah,
of
but the point is that it's like Russian imperialist culture because oh fuck, we've been over the history of this. We've been over the way that Crimea, until the 1950s, didn't until like the end of the Second World War, sorry, didn't actually have a majority of Ukrainians or Russians because there was the because of the Tatar population, and Stalin forcibly removed them in an act that was described by some as genocide. So yeah, the attempt to see like Ukraine as part of Russia is part of Russian imperialism. That's why for the last 200 years they've been doing things like censoring any work that was written in the Ukrainian language. They did that in the 1800s. That was why Khrushchev actually pulled Crimea into Ukraine so that he could counterbalance the rise of Ukrainian nationalism by having sections of the country that were predominantly ethnically Russian. And the Holodomor, okay.
Ukraine, especially those on the eastern side, have actually wanted to belong into Russia and they support Russia, like the territory of Crimea, voluntarily escaped from Ukraine and separated, becoming a part of Russia.
Wait, it wasn't. It was a fucking. It says there annexed by Russia in 2014, voluntarily, and this is when they had the fucking the poll that like the popularity of the referendum starts at like 60% and all the polls are thereabouts, but then it shoots up to fucking 95 in the apparent referendum that was rejected by basically everyone. Escaped as well. What fucking loaded language. Oh, I'm sure both sides have an argument here. Remember when Crimea escaped from Ukraine? Okay.
Annexed in 2014. And there's these other territories on the eastern side that also are trying to do the same thing. And so, as Putin states, Ukraine is not.
Okay, we might as well, since this might even be a segment now. The separatist groups in these regions only account for a third of the region. All right.
Eastern side that also are trying to do the same thing. And so, as Putin states, Ukraine is not just a neighboring country for us, it is an inalienable part of our own history, culture, and spiritual space. Since time immemorial, the people living in the southwest of what has historically been Russian land have called themselves Russians. What we now call Ukraine, he says, was entirely created by Russia. It is intolerable to Putin because the Ukrainian government seeks to legitimate itself by creating conflict with Russia, both oppressing its native Russian speakers and menacing Russia's borders. And so, in his view, the collapse of the Soviet Union was a major.
So is he just quoting Putin for this? It's also the idea that Ukraine was just like completely created by Russia is a little bit off as well. Do I want to go into like how far into the history do I want to go on my timeline here? Hang on. There's going to be a lot of propaganda on both sides. By the way, here's here's what the fucking leader of Russia has to say. Okay, let's see. So, first of all, like central, like the initial Rus state started in central Ukraine. Moscow was later. Okay, that's the first thing. Then you have the situation where, like, after the decline of Mongol power in the region, leads to the Principality of Moscow, but also Lithuania, because Lithuania was fucking massive at that time. Decided to divide the Rus lands, and that's where the Ukrainian Cossacks came about, which was not particularly like dependent on Russia's creation. So then, and you've got the 17th century here, where again, independently of Russia, the Cossacks fight against Polish serfdom. So Ukraine was not created by Russia. Ukraine was absorbed by Russia in exchange for protection from the Polish Empire. And then from then on, I think rather than creating Ukraine, Russia actually like attempted to destroy the concept of Ukraine with the Ems Act in the 1800s. When they destroyed the big Cossack strongholds, when Cossack officers were changed into Russian nobles, where any other like Cossack peasants were enserfed turned into essentially like next door to slaves. And mid to late 1800s, they also banned Ukrainian literature. So there's a bit more evidence that Russia historically tried to destroy Ukraine than create it.
Political disaster with tens of millions of their citizens now outside of Russian territory. So that's their view. But what's going on with Ukraine? Well, Putin has called for Ukraine to just surrender. Nobody has to die, right? No one has to die at all, just surrender. That's it. No blood needs to be shed here. Nobody has to die. You know, as they say, an argument requires two sides in order to start an argument. However, Zelensky, the president of Ukraine...
Well, that's every war, isn't it? Yeah, just surrender, dude.
Has forced its own citizens to fight, right? They say that any man aged 18 to 60 cannot leave the country. You have to stay and fight. Why? Because the number one target is Zelensky himself. So he's throwing his own sheep to the slaughter in order to protect himself. If he were to just give himself up, maybe they could stop the conflict. You know,
what do you mean give himself up? Like what? Just walk into, like in the fucking old days? What do you think this is? Like, I think this is fucking medieval times where the king just like, it's not even medieval, it's like fantasy world where the king just walks up to the castle with his fucking sword, lays it down. Take me, but not my people. So, yeah. And why is he talking about protecting himself when he's on the streets, like with the soldiers right now?
Zelensky, and by the way, I don't know who any of these people are, but he seems to be some comedian actor. He was in entertainment as a prior career, and he's very good at propaganda. Like, he's using all of these words about evil, tyranny, oppression. He says here, we are all...
This guy's very good at propaganda. By the way, here's Putin saying that Russia invented Ukraine and that the Ukrainians supported the Nazis in the Second World War. Oh, God.
Here, our soldiers are here defending our independence. Whereas most people, I don't even know if people care about their own independence. They just want a good life. Many people want to escape the country, right? And he's not letting...
Wait. Okay. Fuck, I didn't think I haven't had to pause a video this often. Like, Ukraine is the way it is now because they fought for independence from Russia, right? Like, they fought to remove a pro-Russian leader and through snap elections decided to put in someone who was more pro-Western. What was it? What was the thing called as well? The Orange Revolution? Yeah, like multiple times. They've fought for their independence from Russia. Not to mention all the Ukrainian nationalist uprisings throughout the Cold War as well.
Them leave. He says, you stay here, you fight for your independence. People don't want to fight for that. They just want to go out and have a better life. And so here's how I see it. I believe there's actually three sides to this war. You've got the Russians, you've got the Ukrainians, and then you've got the people of Ukraine who are actually suffering on the ground. And if you want to support Ukraine, then you support Ukraine's right to just militarize its own people, to force them to fight, to conscript them into a draft, to take away their freedoms, and to force people to be doing something they don't even really want to do. If you support...
Wait, who's got a picture of the queues? The queues of people volunteering to fight. They would have that with like the fucking images of the recruitment offices. New York Times interviews. Yeah, I just want a picture of it though. Where is it? I'll find it in a second.
Russia, then we'll find you support Russia. But I would rather support the people of Ukraine, their liberties, for them to just live a better life. So which side is that? I support the people of Ukraine to have a peaceful life. I don't support the idea of forcing them to fight, to die for their own countries.
Within the confines of this community center, the people of Dnipro rally to the cause, the defense of their city, the defense of their homes. The building was a blur of frenetic energy, of civic activism and patriotism as they prepare for war.
nah, it's just the Ukrainian guy on his own in the streets, like, come on, our independence, and they're all just like, no, what? Yeah, okay, sure.
When they don't even want to fight themselves, they just want to leave. And so I think we just need to be aware of the propaganda that is truly at play here. Ukraine's President Zelensky would like you to believe that there's only two options. You either surrender or you fight Russia. What about leaving? Can we just leave this?
Yeah, I don't know if you can.
Що завгодно під колеса
Whoa.
техніки російської. Її нескінченна кількість, просто нескінченна. Вони вже... Ой-ой-ой, мужчина, що?
Are these civilians blocking the tanks? Yeah. Yeah, look at him go. Fuck. Hey, bruh, if you want to be free, just move out of the way of the tank. Yeah, we saw another video yesterday, yeah.
Люди просять зупинитися.
You know what? Nah, I support the freedom of the Ukrainians. If you want to be free, just move out of the way of the tank.
This whole thing? Can we
That's a
just
new fucking meaning. Holy shit. Wait for it, guys. It's coming, all right? Look, guys, I respect your freedom. And if you want your freedom, the moral of this story right here, don't believe in this bullshit independence, sovereignty. Nah, just move out of the way of all the tanks. Fixed. Can we like Photoshop a picture of fucking Destiny like pointing to the tanks going just move?
leave the country? No, you can't leave. Why not?
Paradigm shift. You've hit 1,000 followers on Twitch. Nice one. Yeah. Let's give a. Oh, why is Twitch not fucking? Why is? Yeah, there.
Because he's got money, maybe money and power tied up within the Ukrainian government, and he's trying to throw his own citizens as sheep to slaughter in order to save himself. Is that perhaps the real narrative? A battle between two dictators clinging on to power, utilizing propaganda, throwing their own citizens to slaughter. But let me know, what are your thoughts in the comments below?
I like how he asked the question, you know? Is that just Ukrainian propaganda, and all he's actually doing is trying to hold power by throwing his citizens to the slaughter, even though he was democratically elected and through a process that was literally fought for on the streets by Ukrainian people? Is that the case? I'm glad you asked. No.